The invitation and deception. The message arrived at Earth Central Command on a rainy Thursday morning. Commander Sarah Chen studied the holographic notification floating above her desk, its official Galactic Council seal pulsing with a soft blue light. She read it for the third time, her expression remaining neutral despite the implications of what she was seeing. "They want us to bring our fleet to their exhibition," she said finally, looking up at the gathered officers in her command room. The spacious chamber overlooked the sprawling shipyards of New Singapore, where dozens of Earth vessels were docked in neat formations. All species will display their military capabilities. Admiral Desmond Rodriguez, Earth's veteran military strategist, stepped forward. His weathered face, marked by decades of service and countless space battles, creased into a thoughtful frown. "It's not just an invitation, Commander. It's a test, and possibly a trap." Sarah nodded slowly. Earth had joined the galactic community only 25 years ago, a mere blink in cosmic terms. Most alien civilizations had been traversing the stars for millennia before humans left their solar system. The Galactic Council, comprised of the 7 oldest spacefaring races, had reluctantly accepted Earth's application for membership, their condescension barely concealed beneath diplomatic niceties. "What ships should we bring?" asked Dr. Maya Wilson, the fleet's chief engineer. Her hands, calloused from years of practical work despite available automation, fidgeted with a small mechanical part she always carried. A habit from her early days, working on Earth's first interstellar engine. Maya glanced at the specs on her tablet. "The Council expects us to bring our newest vessels. They're curious about human technology, or rather, how far behind we truly are." Sarah walked to the window, watching shuttles dart between the massive starships in the yards below. Some gleamed with newness, their hulls pristine and unmarked. Others bore the scars of exploration and conflict, patches of different materials marking where repairs had been made. After a long silence, she turned back to her team, a subtle smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "No, we won't bring our newest ships." The room fell silent. Admiral Rodriguez stepped closer, concern evident in his expression. "Sarah, if we don't showcase our best technology, they'll think we're even further behind than they already believe. The Council already treats us like primitive newcomers." Sarah's smile widened slightly. "Exactly. And we'll let them keep thinking that." 3 days later, Admiral Rodriguez sat across from Zilfar, the Council's liaison to Earth. The alien's iridescent skin shifted colors subtly with its emotions, currently displaying a pattern that Rodriguez had learned indicated mild amusement or condescension. Often both. They met in a neutral space station orbiting Mars, a common location for human-alien diplomatic discussions. The station's artificial gravity was set slightly lower than Earth's standard as a compromise for various species. "I must admit," Zilfar said, sipping a liquid that smelled like cinnamon and ozone, "we were surprised by your selection of vessels for the exhibition." Rodriguez kept his face neutral, his years of diplomatic training serving him well. "Oh, what surprises you about it? The Heritage Fleet, ships that have been in service for over 50 Earth years." Zilfar made a harmonic sound that the translator didn't bother converting, clearly laughter. "Most species will be bringing vessels constructed within the last 5 standard cycles. Technology advances quickly." Rodriguez smiled politely. "We're proud of our Heritage Fleet. Those ships have history." "History won't help much against modern defenses," Zilfar replied. "But we appreciate Earth's participation nonetheless. It's important for younger species to observe and learn from more established civilizations." After Zilfar left, Rodriguez sent an encrypted message to Commander Chen. "They're underestimating us, exactly as you predicted." In the orbital shipyard above Earth, Sarah walked through the cavernous bay of the Dauntless, her chosen flagship for the mission. The vessel had first launched when Sarah was just a child and had been upgraded countless times since. To an outsider, it looked outdated, its hull marked with repair patches and lacking the sleek lines of newer ships. Captain Elio Conco, The weapons specialist assigned to the mission fell into step beside her. His focused expression matched his no-nonsense attitude. "The Dauntless weapon systems are ready, Commander. We've reinstalled the older missile tubes as requested, and the energy cannons have been modified to look less efficient than they actually are." Sarah nodded approvingly. "And the shields, configured to appear as standard protection fields. The adaptive systems are hidden beneath 3 layers of security protocols. They won't detect them unless they're specifically looking. And they won't be looking," Sarah finished, "because they don't think we have that technology." They continued their inspection, passing crew members preparing for the upcoming journey. Unlike the uniform perfection seen on newer vessels, the Heritage Fleet crews were a diverse mix of veterans and specialists, each chosen for experience rather than appearance. In the engine room, they found Maya hunched over an open panel, her hands deep in the ship's core systems. "How are the modifications coming along?" Sarah asked. Maya straightened up, wiping grease from her hands. "Almost done, Commander. From the outside, these will register as standard fusion drives from our early space era. Only someone physically examining them would discover they're actually our latest quantum-fold engines." "Good," Sarah said. "Remember, everything about these ships needs to look functional but outdated." As they finished their inspection tour and returned to the bridge, Lieutenant James Chen, the communications officer, and no relation to the commander, approached with a concerned expression. "Commander, we've received the final roster of participating species. There will be 27 different civilizations showcasing their military vessels." He handed Sarah a tablet with the list. Sarah scanned the names, recognizing most from briefings and historical records. The Galactic Council comprised the 7 oldest spacefaring races, with others having varying levels of representation based on their technological advancement and territorial holdings. "Look at these specs they've provided," James continued, pointing at the attached files. "The Volif ships use quantum phase technology. The Argorian fleet has temporal shielding. We can't compete with this." Sarah handed the tablet back with a calm expression. "We're not trying to compete with their technology, Lieutenant. We're playing a different game entirely." Later that evening, as Earth grew smaller in the viewports, Sarah stood alone on the observation deck. The Heritage Fleet, 15 ships of varying sizes, all bearing the marks of long service, formed up around the Dauntless. Admiral Rodriguez joined her, watching the blue planet fade into the distance. "The council representative called our ships charming antiques," he said. Sarah chuckled. "Perfect. Let them think that." Rodriguez turned to face her. "You really believe this will work? That our old ships will impress the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy?" Sarah's eyes reflected the starlight as she looked out into the vastness of space. "These ships have something their shiny new vessels don't," she said quietly. "They've survived. They've adapted. They've evolved." She placed a hand on the cool metal of the viewport frame. "Just like humanity." The fleet accelerated, leaving Earth's solar system behind as they set course for the galactic core, where the most powerful civilizations in known space waited to be shown just how dangerous underestimating humans could be. As the Heritage Fleet approached the great intergalactic navy yards orbiting the massive blue star Procyon Alpha, Lieutenant James could not help but marvel at the collection of alien vessels already assembled. Ships of designs he had only seen in intelligence briefings hung in the void, their structures defying human architectural logic. Some appeared as crystalline formations that seemed to phase in and out of reality. Others resembled organic beings, their hulls rippling like the skin of sea creatures. "They're scanning us," announced the sensor officer, a young woman named Prisha Sharma. "Multiple directed energy suites. Non-invasive, but thorough." Sarah nodded calmly. "Let them look. Everyone remember their roles." The comm system chimed, and a projection appeared. A tall, mantis-like alien with iridescent compound eyes. "Earth vessels, this is exhibition control. You have been assigned docking section 47C, the furthest ring from the central arena. Your demonstration has been scheduled last in the program. Thank you, Control, Sarah replied with perfect diplomatic politeness. We appreciate your accommodation. As the projection faded, Admiral Rodriguez commented dryly, Section 47C, the ceremonial equivalent of the kids' table. Sarah's eyes gleamed. Perfect. The further underestimated we are, the more dramatic the reveal will be. The docking procedure was deliberately executed with visible thruster bursts and minor course corrections, all intentional inefficiencies designed to reinforce the impression of outdated technology. As they secured their moorings, an official delegation of Argorians approached the Dauntless. The tall, crystalline beings moved with fluid grace, their translucent bodies housing swirling galaxies of luminous particles. Welcome to the 453rd Galactic Naval Exhibition, their leader said, its voice like chimes in the wind. I am High Admiral Zorith. We appreciate Earth's participation with its historical vessels. The slight pause before appreciate communicated volumes. Sarah bowed respectfully, playing her role perfectly. The honor is ours, High Admiral. Earth is humbled to learn from the galaxy's greatest naval powers. As the Argorian delegation departed, Admiral Rodriguez whispered, I've never seen you act so meek. I'm not acting meek, Sarah replied, her voice steel beneath silk. I'm setting the stage. The revelation and aftermath. The exhibition arena was a marvel of engineering, a massive spherical structure with a transparent dome offering an unobstructed view of space. Inside, representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations gathered in tiered seating arranged around a central holographic display that showed the demonstration zone, a vast area of space equipped with obstacles, targets, and sensor arrays. Sarah, Admiral Rodriguez, and Captain Okonkwo sat in Earth's assigned section, notably smaller and further from the central platform than those of established species. The human delegation wore simple blue and gray uniforms that appeared plain next to the ornate attire and technological enhancements displayed by other representatives. The exhibition begins, announced Grand Marshal Tekfa of the Volov, the current head of the Galactic Council's military division. The massive reptilian being's scales shimmered with embedded technology as it addressed the gathering. For 10,000 cycles, we have gathered to share our advancements in the noble art of defense. Today we welcome 27 civilizations, including a barely perceptible pause. Our newest member, Earth. A murmur of what sounded like amusement rippled through the alien crowd. We proceed in order of membership seniority, the Grand Marshal continued. The Argorian Temporal Fleet will demonstrate first, followed by the Volith Quantum Armada. For the next several hours, the human delegation watched as the galaxy's most advanced warships performed incredible feats. The Argorian vessels seemed to predict attacks before they happened, their temporal shields creating bubbles where time itself slowed to a crawl. The Volith ships phased through solid matter, appearing simultaneously in multiple locations. The Zentari craft controlled gravity itself, creating artificial black holes as defensive measures. Each demonstration drew appreciative sounds from the gathered representatives, with technical data streaming across personal devices as various technologies were explained and showcased. Between demonstrations, alien delegations approached the humans with expressions of polite curiosity or barely concealed condescension. Your species has developed remarkably quickly for primates, noted a gelatinous being from the Celthian collective, its translator converting the ripples across its surface into words. In a few thousand years, perhaps you'll develop phase technology yourselves. We look forward to learning from your example, Sarah replied diplomatically. As the demonstrations continued, Captain Okonkwo leaned closer to Sarah. They're all showing off their specialties, he whispered. Each species has one or two standout technologies they've perfected, but they're siloed in their thinking. Sarah nodded imperceptibly. They've each climbed to the peak of their technological mountain, but they're not looking at the other mountains. Hours passed as species after species demonstrated increasingly impressive technological capabilities. The entire time, the human delegation watched attentively, taking notes, asking questions, and appearing suitably impressed by each display of advanced technology. Finally, after the 26th demonstration, Grand Marshal Tekvar returned to the central platform. We now invite our newest members, the representatives of Earth, to demonstrate their heritage fleet capabilities. The emphasis on heritage was unmistakable, drawing subtle sounds of amusement from the assembled aliens. Sarah stood, nodded respectfully to the Grand Marshal, and touched her communication device. Dauntless, you are cleared to begin demonstration sequence Alpha. Out in space, visible through the transparent dome and on the central holographic display, the Earth vessels began to move. Their thrusters fired with visible exhaust, an inefficiency that had drawn criticism during earlier conversations with other species. The ships arranged themselves in a simple formation that appeared rudimentary compared to the complex quantum-locked patterns demonstrated by other fleets. Earth's vessels utilize conventional propulsion and standard energy weapons, Sarah explained to the audience, her voice calm and educational. Our flagship, the Dauntless, has served Earth for over 50 years. The Grand Marshal made a sound that the translator interpreted as polite acknowledgement, but the subtle shift in scale color betrayed amusement. We will now demonstrate basic maneuverability and targeting capabilities, Sarah continued. The Heritage Fleet began what appeared to be simple formation flights, nothing like the reality-bending maneuvers of the Argorians or the quantum phase shifts of the Volith. Some representatives began quiet conversations among themselves, clearly losing interest. Then, without warning, everything changed. The visible exhaust from the Earth ships suddenly vanished. Their movements, previously deliberate and somewhat clumsy, became impossibly precise. The entire fleet shifted positions in perfect unison, executing maneuvers that should have been physically impossible with the technology they supposedly possessed. The conversations around the arena died instantly. The holographic displays tracking ship movements flickered as they struggled to keep up with the sudden acceleration and positioning changes. "What is happening?" demanded a Zentari representative, multiple eye stalks swiveling toward the human delegation. Sarah's expression remained neutral. "We are now demonstrating our actual capabilities." In space, the Dauntless approached a series of asteroid targets that previous fleets had destroyed with various weapons. Instead of firing, the ship simply touched them. On contact, each asteroid instantly transformed into fine dust, dispersing in elegant patterns. "Molecular disassembly field," Sarah explained casually. "A technology we developed 40 years ago, but kept classifying as theoretical in our shared databases." Before anyone could respond, 3 smaller Earth vessels formed a triangular formation and projected energy fields that merge. Within the triangle, space itself seemed to fold, creating a temporary gateway. A larger Earth ship passed through and emerged instantly on the other side of the demonstration area, a distance that should have taken minutes to traverse. "Localized space folding," Admiral Rodriguez added, "useful for short-range tactical redeployment." The Grand Marshal's scales had shifted to a pale color. These technologies were not registered with the Council. "We registered everything accurately," Sarah countered smoothly. "Our ships use conventional propulsion, in addition to other systems. They employ standard energy weapons, among other options. All our documentation was technically correct." The gathered representatives watched in stunned silence as the Heritage Fleet continued its demonstration. Ships that appeared old and patched together revealed system after system that matched or exceeded the specialized technologies other species had showcased. The Dauntless split into 3 sections that operated independently before rejoining seamlessly. Smaller vessels demonstrated shield technology that adapted to different weapon types in real time, absorbing energy attacks and deflecting physical ones with equal ease. "As you can see," Sarah explained, her voice still educational but with an undercurrent of steel, "Earth's approach to technology differs from the galactic standard. We don't specialize in single breakthrough advancements. Instead, we integrate and combine technologies. finding connections between seemingly unrelated fields. The demonstration continued for precisely the allotted 30 minutes. When it concluded, the Earth ships returned to their original formation, once again firing visible thrusters and moving with deliberate inefficiency, a pointed reminder of their earlier deception. Silence hung in the exhibition arena for several long moments before eruption into a cacophony of questions, demands for explanations, and hurried consultations among species. The Grand Marshal raised all four arms for silence, which gradually fell. Commander Chen, the massive reptilian being, said, its voice carefully controlled, "It appears Earth has been less than forthcoming about its technological capabilities." Sarah inclined her head slightly. "With respect, Grand Marshal, Earth has been exactly as forthcoming as we've been treated. When we joined the galactic community, we were assigned observer status despite our technological qualifications. Our requests for full membership were repeatedly delayed based on our developmental level." She gestured to the ships outside. "We brought our heritage fleet today not to deceive, but to make a point. Age does not equal obsolescence. History carries wisdom, and assumptions can be dangerous." Admiral Rodriguez stepped forward. "The ships you see are indeed our oldest vessels. They've been continuously upgraded, adapted, and improved over decades, just as humanity has continuously evolved and adapted throughout our history. What you perceive as primitive might simply be different." For several moments, the Grand Marshal studied the human delegation. Then, to everyone's surprise, a sound emerged that the translators interpreted as laughter. "Well played, humans," HFY said finally. "Well played indeed. In 10,000 cycles of exhibitions, no species has ever delivered such a pointed lesson." The Grand Marshal turned to address the gathered representatives. "Perhaps we have all become too specialized in our thinking, too confident in our established paths of development. The humans remind us that there are many roads to advancement, and that appearances can be deceiving." In the days that followed, Earth's delegation found itself the center of attention, not with condescension, but with genuine curiosity and newfound respect. Technical discussions that had previously excluded humans now actively sought their input. Treaty negotiations that had stalled suddenly progressed with remarkable speed. On the final evening of the exhibition, Sarah stood on the observation deck of the Dauntless, watching the lights of the massive exhibition station. Admiral Rodriguez joined her, offering a rare Earth beverage they had brought for celebration. "Mission accomplished," he said, raising his glass. "Earth's position in the Galactic Council has been completely reevaluated. We've received invitations to 17 different technological exchange programs already." Sarah nodded, taking a small sip. "And yet we still haven't shown them everything." Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. "The dimensional phase technology. Among other things," Sarah replied with a small smile. "Always keep something in reserve, Admiral. Today's allies could be tomorrow's competitors." "Speaking of competitors," Rodriguez said, checking his communication device, "the Volov have suggested a joint military exercise next cycle. They specifically requested our obsolete heritage fleet." Sarah laughed, a genuine sound of amusement. "Well, who are we to deny such a polite request? Besides, the heritage fleet could use the practice." As they looked out at the stars, a message arrived from Earth Central Command. The Galactic Council had unanimously voted to upgrade Earth's status from observing member to full Council associate, an advancement that normally took centuries to achieve. "It seems our little deception paid off beyond expectations," Rodriguez commented. Sarah's expression grew thoughtful. "It wasn't deception, Admiral. It was education. The galaxy needed to learn something about humans." "And what's that?" Sarah turned from the viewport, her eyes reflecting the distant light of countless stars, each one potentially hiding civilizations that might underestimate humanity just as the Council had. "That we are never exactly what we appear to be. That adaptability is our true strength. And that of all the species in the galaxy, humans are perhaps the most dangerous to underestimate." The Heritage Fleet departed the exhibition 3 days later, once again firing visible thrusters for show until they cleared the main traffic lanes. Then, in perfect unison, 15 ships that looked old and weathered vanished in flashes of light, jumping to speeds that their supposed technology should never have been able to achieve. Behind them, the galaxy watched, learned, and recalculated. The age of human isolation in the galactic community was over. The age of human influence had just begun. Admiral Rodriguez sent one final message to Earth's Central Command before the Dauntless jumped to light speed. Phase 1 complete. The galaxy is now paying attention. Sarah Chen smiled as she gave the order to jump. For humanity, this wasn't the end of a demonstration. It was just the beginning.